This video will continue on a series of videos that I've recorded before that discuss research frameworks. So we started talking about research frameworks in general and why we need them as a conceptual model for our research. Then we gave some example in another video about awareness research frameworks or awareness research models. For example, was the HPM and the CAP model. In this video, I'll talk about the TAM model, because it's very important, because anybody who works in technology will end up using it, again, to ask the question. I call it the multi-million-dollar question. Would people accept this new technology that you're working on? Would they? That's why we have a model and the framework that we built on top for many, many years. This framework started in 1989, the Technology Acceptance Model, or the TAM model, which will help us dive into what makes people accept a new technology or not. And ideally, it boils down to two things. Back in 1989, Fred Davis, to be more specific, started this or introduced this concept, why people accept or reject a new technology. And it could be your new technology. Typically focuses on two key factors, two perceived variables. One is perceived usefulness. Two is perceived ease of use. This is very nice. So perceived usefulness, how useful, the degree to which a person believes that using this new technology will enhance their performance. That's perceived usefulness. It's useful. And perceived ease of use, the degree to which a person believes that using this system will be effortless, will be easy to use. And that's very important. People don't get it. Sometimes you have this beautiful platform that's so useful, but not easy to use. And this is why this technology acceptance model trying to look at perceived usefulness, perceived, doesn't mean it's useful, it's how they perceive it. So again, if I'm looking, I'll do a small case study about e-learning adoption. I want to adopt a new e-learning technology. So will using this online platform or e-learning platform improve my academic performance? This is what perceived usefulness. If I ask, is the e-learning platform easy to use, easy to navigate? This is perceived ease of use, how you perceive it. So the two factors that I just talked about, the perceived variables, will definitely influence attitude towards using the technology, which will then affect the behavioral intention to use that technology, will finally lead to actually using that technology. You could see how the technology acceptance model is. One more time, perceived usefulness, perceived ease of use, they affect the attitude towards that technology. What's your attitude? Which will affect the behavioral intention to use it, and finally, actually using it. And this is what the TAM model is all about. So ideally, it's very popular. It's a must-know, which you could use and apply in any new technology that you're looking at. Are people going to accept it? Suppose we're looking at an e-learning platform, as I said, we could apply the TAM. For example, perceived usefulness, I believe it will improve my grades. Perceived ease of use, I find it easy to use, effortless. Attitude towards it, I enjoy using it. Now it's an attitude. How do you feel about it? Behavioral intention, I intend to use it regularly on a daily basis, hourly. And finally, actually using it, I used it or I will use it for sure. Definitely actual use is I used it for assignments and studying. So you asked that question. So now we could formulate hypotheses like we did before. I have these variables. Any new technology, again, you could add to it, of course. You could extend on the TAM model. You could say perceived ease of use positively influences perceived usefulness. You could test this hypothesis. Does the ease of use affect the usefulness? Perceived. Perceived ease of use influences attitude. Does it? Again, most likely, yes. We could test these for this specific new technology and eventually look at what is the probability, most likely the hypothesis of they will actually use the system. And this is what your research questions are all about. So you could ask questions, interview people. For example, for perceived usefulness, you could say, using the e-learning platform improves my learning experience. That's one question. You don't ask it and say, do you perceive it as being useful? You're going to ask 3, 4, 5 questions, combining their answers, quantifying them in order to see the value of the perceived usefulness. Or you could have ask another question is, I can complete my coursework more efficiently with this new e-learning platform. This is perceived usefulness. Let me ask you a question and see, give you 2 seconds to think about. Suppose I say, I enjoy using the e-learning platform. What would that be? That would be the attitude towards using it. See, I enjoy it, meaning attitude. If I give you one more, for example, I would recommend this platform to my classmates. What would that be? That would be behavioral intention. You intend, you recommend, so you have an intention to use it. I plan to continue using it. That's intention. So you could ask questions, collect the variables, and of course, end up doing analysis. When you do the analysis, most likely you need to do tests for reliability, tests for validity, goodness of fit, and do any kind of structural equation modeling, regression analysis, ANOVAs, chi-square tests, in order to look at the relationship between these hypotheses depending on their values. So this video was all about looking at a beautiful, very basic, very old model that has been extended over the years and you can use for your new technology adoption question. Thank you and see you in the next video.